The tumultuous marital life of Henry VIII is one of the most compelling chapters in the history of the Tudor dynasty. His quest for a male heir and his shifting alliances through marriage not only shaped the course of his reign, but also had profound implications for the women who became his queens. Each of Henry's wives played a crucial role in the narrative of his rule. From the tragic fate of Jane Seymour to Jane Seymour's story is one of brief triumph and tragedy. Born to a noble family, Jane entered the service of Catherine of Aragon and later Anne Boleyn, where she caught the eye of Henry VIII. Gentle and demure, Jane was a stark contrast to the vivacious Anne Boleyn, and her demeanor appealed to Henry, who was increasingly frustrated with Anne. Following Anne Boleyn's execution in May 1536, Henry wasted no time in pursuing Jane. They were married on May 30th, 1536, just days after Anne's death. Jane's primary duty was to provide Henry with a male heir, and she succeeded where others had failed. On October 12, 1537, she gave birth to Prince Edward, a healthy boy who would later become Edward VI. The joy of Edward's birth was short-lived. Jane fell ill with puerperal fever, a common and often fatal complication of childbirth at the time. She died on October 24, 1537, just 12 days after giving birth. Henry was devastated by her death, and Jane was buried with full honors at Windsor Castle. Her brief reign had brought Henry the heir he desperately sought, but it had also underscored the fragility of life and the human cost of his ambitions. Following Jane Seymour's death, Henry sought to strengthen his political alliances through marriage. Thomas Cromwell, Henry's chief minister, arranged a marriage with Anne of Cleves, a German princess. The alliance was seen as a way to bolster England's position against the Catholic powers of France and Spain. However, the marriage was doomed from the start. Henry's first meeting with Anne was a disaster. He found her unattractive and lacking the grace and sophistication he expected. Despite his personal misgivings, the marriage went ahead in January 1540. The union was never consummated, and Henry quickly sought an annulment. The marriage was annulled on the grounds of non-consummation, and Anne's pre-contract with another nobleman. Anne accepted the annulment gracefully and was granted a generous settlement, including several estates and the title of the king's sister. She remained in England and lived a comfortable life, outliving Henry and several of his other wives. Anne's brief tenure as queen highlighted the precarious nature of political marriages and the personal whims of a powerful monarch. Catherine Howard, a cousin of Anne Boleyn, was introduced to Henry's court by her powerful family. Young, beautiful, and lively, Catherine quickly captured Henry's heart. They were married on July 28, 1540, just weeks after Henry's annulment from Anne of Cleves. However, Catherine's youth and inexperience proved to be her downfall. She engaged in a series of illicit relationships both before and during her marriage to Henry. Her indiscretions were eventually discovered, leading to accusations of adultery and treason. Henry, initially besotted with Catherine, turned against her with the same ruthlessness he had shown Anne Boleyn. Catherine was arrested and interrogated, and her confessions only sealed her fate. On February 13, 1542, She was executed at the Tower of London. Her tragic end underscored the dangers faced by young women at court, where political and personal intrigue often led to deadly consequences. Catherine Parr was Henry's sixth and final wife. Widowed twice before her marriage to Henry, she was a woman of intelligence, piety, and strong will. Catherine married Henry on July 12, 1543, and quickly became a stabilizing influence at court. Catherine's primary role was to care for Henry, who was increasingly plagued by ill health. She also played a significant role in the education of Henry's children, ensuring that Edward, Mary, and Elizabeth received the instruction they needed to rule. Her influence extended beyond the domestic sphere. She was a patron of the arts and an advocate for the Protestant Reformation. Despite her accomplishments, Catherine's position was not without danger. She faced opposition from conservative factions at court who resented her influence and her religious views. At one point, she narrowly escaped arrest on charges of heresy, only to be spared by Henry's intervention. Catherine outlived Henry, who died on January 28, 1547. After his death, she married Thomas Seymour, but their union was fraught with difficulties. Catherine died in September 1548, shortly after giving birth to her only child. Her legacy as a compassionate and intelligent queen endured, providing a fitting conclusion to the turbulent marital history of Henry VIII. The court of Henry VIII was a place where ambition and danger coexisted in a delicate balance. For the queens, navigating the treacherous waters of political and personal intrigue was a constant challenge. The ever-present threat of falling out of favor with the king, coupled with the scheming of rival factions, created an atmosphere of perpetual uncertainty. Henry's wives were often pawns in a larger game of power and influence, their fates determined by the shifting alliances and rivalries that characterized the Tudor court. Their stories are a testament to the complexities of life at court, where loyalty was often fleeting and survival required both intelligence and resilience. The queens of Henry VIII each left their mark on English history, contributing to the rich tapestry of the Tudor dynasty. Their lives were intertwined with the broader narrative of religious and political change, reflecting the shifting dynamics of power in Henry's reign. Jane Seymour's brief but pivotal role in providing a male heir, and of Cleve's pragmatic acceptance of her annulment. Catherine Howard's tragic youthful indiscretions, and Catherine Parr's stabilizing influence all illustrate the diverse experiences of these remarkable women. Their stories continue to captivate and inspire, offering insights into the human dimensions of a tumultuous era.